Hi everybody, welcome to my homestead and welcome to my channel. My name is Jared. In this video, I have some really cool quotes to share with you from Joseph Smith. And it actually all started with this comment right here from Christy Lindsay. Noah came before the flood. I come before the fire. Joseph Smith. I'd never heard this quote before. I had to look for it and find the source, and I'm going to put it on my spreadsheets. So thank you, Christy Lindsay, for bringing this quote to my attention, and it led to the rest of the quotes that I'm about to share. So again, thank you for your comment. So I searched for it, and this is what came up when I did a Google search. It shows up here in this devotional talk by Truman G. Madsen, Joseph Smith, lecture 7, or I guess a lecture, Doctrinal Development and the Nauvoo Era. And so he quotes that in here, but I wanted to go to the original source. I always like to just do my own verification. I went to archive.org, and they have Abraham H. Cannon journal excerpts. So this is the best that I could do. But it does look like it has, actual excerpts from this journal. And here it is right here. Let's zoom in and read it. Okay, excuse me. January 1st, 1892, at a state conference in Brigham City, President Snow reported that on one occasion, Joseph Smith was once asked who he was. Quote, the prophet smiled kindly upon his interlocutor and replied, Noah came before the flood. I have come before the fire. What a way to answer. Who are you? Noah came before the flood. I came before the fire. That's who I am. That's pretty intense. But this is really neat. I'm so glad that this got brought up. I'm going to put it in my... I'm probably going to put it under my quotes A through Z and put it under Joseph Smith. Just that's where I'll put it for right now. Okay, so there was that. And it was just by chance, well, maybe not so much by chance, but maybe led by the Spirit, that I came across this part. I wasn't like reading through this really. I kept it up. I searched for it initially. I kept the tab up, and I had it with some other tabs that I, needed to get to at some other time. And time came for this, and it just happened to be right here. And I noticed these other quotes. As I was looking for this initial one, I was just kind of like skimming through and like, why do I have this up? And then I saw like some of these quotes down here, and then I saw the quote that Christy pointed me to. So I want to share with you some of these other quotes, which are a bit enigmatic, but interesting, but also ominous at the same time. I'll show you what I mean. Okay, so the first one, we're going to the Millennial Star, and I don't want to scroll up or else I'll lose my place. I'll give the references. I'll put the references will be in the description box below, so you can know exactly where to find this. Okay. All right. So this is Brigham Young that's speaking. Okay. No, you know what? Just do it. I'll just do it. Quotations from President Brigham Young's sermon at the Bowery, Sunday, December 29th, 1850. And this is the September 1st, 1851 issue of Millennial Star. Okay. All right. So here we go. It actually I happen to see this paragraph. I had to add this too. This is perfect. And this is something maybe that we should all think about, especially this community right here, the LDS Second Coming community, because I feel like we're all to some degree guilty of what he says first, before we get to the quote that I wanted to share. Think about this and think about if this is you. Okay. He says, this people is addicted to, and it is a fault, to be always searching after doctrine and never improving upon what they have. They want something new, something that they never heard. Now listen. Okay, pause. Listen. We're all, I think to some extent, we're all guilty of this. It's natural for us to look for things that are new, exciting. We get a dopamine reward in our brains whenever we get excited about something. But we have to be careful with that. And I don't think that he's saying to don't search after doctrine, not to study and not to get deep, but we can't just do that. We have to work on the fundamentals. It's it's the analogy of like basketball. You can learn all these different sorts of trick shots and fancy things, but what good is that if you don't know how to dribble, or you don't know how to do a layup, or you don't know how to do just basic things? Sometimes I think we just skip over the Sermon on the Mountain and things like that teach you ultimately what you're supposed to become and how to be like God. It's by doing those things, by exercising love and charity and perfecting ourselves over time. And I think that we all have to stop and think, okay, am I doing too much YouTube, like looking for fringe topics and theories and buying books and listening to podcasts and watching documentaries? And, am I just looking for those dopamine hits? Which again, it's not wrong by itself, but am I actually doing the work that I need to do to actually qualify for the second coming, to be counted righteous and to participate along with the other 5 virgins that enter into the marriage feast and things like that? So anyway, they want something new, something that they never heard. I doubt you have not heard all I have said this day. Yeah, seriously. How much have the prophets and apostles, spoken to us, and we just like ignore it? We just like do our searches on YouTube for exciting things where they've said so much already. Do we like dig into it and learn these things, and not just the exciting things, the things that we really need to know? Brigham Young's like, I doubt you've even heard half of what I said today, and you're looking for new doctrine. Okay, he continues. Get up here, ye elders of Israel, and tell what is in you. It is hard work to get a man to come on this stand to feed the flock. How dormant you are. But many of the elders say they want to go away and preach to the people in the world. Is there any bigger folks than we are that you would hear to, or that would hear you? Yes, there is, ye elders of Israel, ye men of God. How much do you know about the kingdom of God? And yet you're always wanting to know something more when you ought to improve upon what you have. Okay, now that was just a bonus. that paragraph right there is just a bonus. This is what I was looking for right here. Okay, listen to this. The prophet Joseph said to me about 16 years ago, if I was to show the Latter-day Saints all the revelations that the Lord has shown unto me, there is scarce a man that would stay with me. They could not bear it. And so that begs the question, I mean, what was there? And I don't think that we received it all. And I'm sure that each president of the church has had some sense of what Joseph Smith knew. Maybe not, but maybe. Brigham Young continues, what is there so horrid that you cannot bear it? Every trait and character that has been infused into man since the fall is as diametrically opposed as light is to darkness. So, and then that's basically it. Actually, let's read a little bit more. Ye elders of Israel, do you know the ways of God? If the Lord himself was to speak, to tell the Latter-day Saints what to do, he would come in the capacity of an elder in Israel, and he would preach to you. You would hear precisely the very things that you do now. So in other words, if God came here, he's not just going to like start giving you all the mysteries of the universe. He's going to give you exactly what we're doing. Guess what? I'm a prophet of God. I'm speaking as Brigham Young. I'm a prophet. I'm telling you what he wants me to tell you and teach you. Okay, you may think I do not know, but I do. But I know you do not. Okay, and that's all I want to read. Let's stop right there. So really interesting. I wonder what those things were that Joseph Smith knew. Let's move on to the next one. This is in History of the Church, Volume 2, and it's page 477. Okay, under a section called The Prophet on the Subject of Priesthood. President Joseph Smith Jr. addressed the assembly and said, the Melchizedek priesthood, close out of that. The Melchizedek high priesthood was no other than the priesthood of the Son of God, that there are certain ordinances which belong to the priesthood from which flow certain results, and the presidents or presidency are over the church, and revelations of the mind and will of God to the church are to come through the presidency. This is the order of heaven and the power and privilege of this priesthood. It is also the privilege of any officer in this church to obtain revelations so far as it relates to his particular calling and duty in the church. Just really quick, I got to say something about that. I'm always surprised whenever I hear stories or see times where people think that they can receive revelation for the church or revelation for another individual that's not their, like their children, or their marriage or something like that. You guys, we got to get this straight. There's order. You're not going to receive knowledge about the church, about the world, that some prophet hasn't already revealed. Those things come through the prophet if it has to do with the entire church. If it has to do with your lives, your individual lives, your family, your kids, then you're entitled to that, but not for the entire church. All right, continuing. All are bound by the principles of virtue and happiness, but one great privilege of the priesthood is to obtain revelations of the mind in the will of God. It is also the privilege of the Melchizedek priesthood to reprove, rebuke, and admonish, as well as to receive revelation. All right, now here's the part right here. If the church knew all the commandments, one half they would condemn through prejudice and ignorance. So the implication here is that the church at that time did not know all the commandments, and we have reason to believe that there will be new doctrine during the millennium. Bruce R. McConkie talked about that. I should have pulled this up. Let's go to archive.org, Millennial Messiah, Bruce R. McConkie. We have everything that we need right now to achieve exaltation. We have all the ordinances that are necessary in this life for that. But we obviously don't know everything. And President Nelson keeps saying how the restoration is ongoing. We don't have everything. We just have what's necessary, but there's more. I also have that quote from Elder David A. Bednar when he answered the question, what does it mean, ongoing restoration? And he explained that it's not just things that once were, but it also includes things that have not been revealed yet. I know that the word is restoration, but he included things that have not been revealed in the world yet. I guess maybe just things from the foundation of the world, maybe in that sense restored, but new things that have not been revealed in this world yet during the history of the earth. Okay, so here's the part in Millennial Messiah. This is on page 675, the day of millennial revelation. We have the fullness of the everlasting gospel, meaning that we have all that is needed to gain the fullness of salvation. We have every truth, doctrine, and principle, every right, power, and ordinance, all that is needed to gain exaltation in the highest heaven of the celestial world. But we do not know all things. There are doctrines. See, there it is right there. There are doctrines in endless array of which we know next to nothing. Indeed, there are more things in the darkness of the unknown than there are in the light of the known. We do not even know what the faithful knew in Enoch's Zion, nor among the Nephites when they dwelt in righteousness for generations. So that's interesting. So anyway, let's go back. So again, Joseph Smith said, if the church knew all the commandments, one half they would condemn through prejudice and ignorance. And that's not too hard to imagine, because look at the church right now and look at the commandments and doctrines of the church that people of the church condemn. And we might all be guilty of this a little bit ourselves, when we know that there's a certain doctrine in the church and we don't like it. It's sensitive to us. We don't feel comfortable with it, or it's like, or whatever. It somehow interrupts how you think things should be. That's usually the reason why people reject doctrine, and we start becoming a gospel attorney, a doctor of the law, so that we can find loopholes or explain away certain things that we don't like. We discredit certain works. So, for example, the Journal of Discourses, a lot of times people will read something in there that they don't like and then go to the church website and say, see, they say that it's not doctrine, but they don't read the last part where it says, taken by itself, it's not doctrine. But the Journal of Discourses, it has discourses from prophets, Brigham Young, John Taylor, Wilford Woodruff, and others. So you have to take everything together, both the past and the present. But I don't see very much contradiction between the two. But anyway, so if we already have a hard time right now with certain doctrine, then I don't know, we better buckle up for the millennium, because there's probably going to be more revealed, and it may go against what is comfortable for you or how you think things are or should be. It's just something to think about. Okay, and then the last one. Okay, this is also in the Millennial Star. This is called Reminiscences of the Church in Nauvoo. In Ramsbottom, Lancashire, England, resides an aged brother who at one time lived in Nauvoo, Illinois, USA, and had often heard the prophet Joseph Smith address the saints. His name is Robert Horn, and he is now in his 80th year. He was visited by one of the elders a few days ago, and he then related many incidents which occurred during the time he spent in Nauvoo. As these will undoubtedly prove of interest to the saints, some of them are reproduced here. Okay, so let's go down to the one that I want to share. All right, it's this paragraph right here. On May 23rd, 1843, I listened to a discourse preached in the Nauvoo temple, which was then only partially finished. Brother Joseph was talking on the pre-existence of our spirits, in our relations to God, in the spirit world, in our standing in the family circle of our Father. Now, I am telling the truth, and I remember that while thus talking, he suddenly turned around to the apostles sitting on the stand and said, in effect, "Brethren, if I were to tell you all I know of the kingdom of God, I know that you would rise up and kill me." He's talking to the apostles. Of course, a lot of the original apostles apostatized and were excommunicated. In fact, I have a spreadsheet of that. So it's like things don't just happen magically in the church. There certainly are miracles, but there's also a very practical element to things, and the Lord works through natural ways, and he allows people to have their agency. But I have, let's see, I think it's under timeline apostles. Yep. So right here, these black cells with the white X in them, this is for apostles that apostatized and were excommunicated. Well, sorry, were excommunicated from the church. Lyman E. Johnson. You have William E. McClellan, Luke Johnson. Some of them returned, and so I have a column for that with a blue cell with the letter Y inside of it. So it's not like things were perfect in the beginning, okay? So anyway, but whatever the case, that's still, even if some of them were faithful, I don't know, it's still pretty astounding for him to say, "Brethren, if I were to tell you all I know of the kingdom of God, I do know that you would rise up and kill me." Brother Brigham arose and said, "Don't tell me anything that I can't bear, for I don't want to apostatize." Brother Joseph, addressing the apostles, then said, "The weight of this kingdom has been a millstone around my neck, but I'm going to roll it off on your shoulders, and then the kingdom of God will go on." There were 11 of the apostles present at the time. Among them, I saw Parley Pratt, Orson Pratt, Willard Richards, Geo.A. Smith, Brigham Young, and John Taylor. I don't remember the others. So there we go. We have a few different instances where Joseph Smith said that he hasn't said everything that he knows. And, because he was martyred at an early age, I would assume that some of that went with him to the grave, unless it was revealed to Brigham Young and future prophets, which maybe some of it has been. So it's just something to think about. If we get to the millennium and there are brand new things that we're not used to, maybe just be ready for that possibility, because I think it's a certainty. We need to remain flexible and not get rigid and comfortable with how things are and think that we're doing just so amazing, because you might be doing amazing now. You might be doing everything right, but there might be some aspect about yourself that you need to fix in the millennium. Like right now it's okay, but maybe in the millennium, we're going to kick it up a notch, and we'll need to make some changes. You could also just have to deal with maybe not so much commandments. Maybe there will be new commandments, but maybe there'll just be new understanding of how the Lord works and why things happen the way that they do, and maybe deeper understanding of things, like concepts that we don't even have any concept of right now. So it's just interesting stuff. All right, but that's going to be it for this one. One more time, thank you, Christy Lindsay, for putting this quote in the comments. If you haven't already, please make sure to subscribe, like this video if you liked it, leave your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. Also make sure to share it, and I'll talk to you guys later.